You mean you were recording when I did a not at all subtle dog whistle for my followers to execute me by firing squad?
Well, you know, they have a big target here. I had a big breakfast.
Is there any other kind of breakfast in Wisconsin?
Really? No.
Yeah, Wisconsinites always say that. They always say, I had a big breakfast. Like there's any other alternative. What are you going to get? You're going to do? You're going to get up and have some pre-workout and a black coffee?
I ordered the short stack. The short stack is as tall as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, for God's sakes. Oh, my goodness.
Good morning, glory. Say there, stop that yawning. A brand new day is dawning. Pull up the shade and let the sun come through. Good morning, glory. Spend about an hour underneath a shower and keep on singing like the birdies do.
All right, Steve, let's win one for the Gipper.
I
know. All right, here we go. Oh, Lord. Welcome to Books of the Week. I was looking for a perfect opening, a perfect way in. Steve and I have been misbehaving already for like 10 minutes. None of you were invited. I might put that on Patreon. Oh, am I going there already? Sure. Patreon.com/Books of the Week. Drop some spare change, and the friends of the library will love you. And we will too, because today's a love fest. I'm Jeff Mesterman in Cedarburg, Wisconsin, the Cedarburg Public Library currently. And across from me is the amazing Steve Donahue. That's his circus name in Boston, Massachusetts. He used to launch him out of a cannon, but now he reads books.
Yeah, now I fire the cannon, but not today.
No.
Today. No, today we're gonna be nice.
I like it. We're doing this is kind of a serialized show, because last week on Books of the Week,
last week got a little heated. We're gonna be nice this week.
Yeah, it was bloody Monday around here, so we're gonna.
Although the professional podcaster who got in touch with me about last week's episode and the episode before that and said it's really seamless how you guys go from chatting off camera to being on script. There's no script.
A script.
Oh, there's no script.
We're a library. I couldn't afford the paper to print a script on, for God's sakes. What are you thinking? Well, normally on this show, we like to take a swing by the nonfiction section of our library, and maybe even your library as well. And then we'll mosey on over to the fiction section, and then I get to grab a stack of books and juggle them. And Steve says, junk, crap. Not today, though.
No, this week we are puppies and rainbows.
Scritch us behind the ears, and we'll roll right over. Well, Steve, what rainbows are you ready to poop out today?
Well, if we start with nonfiction, we are talking about a new biography.
Excellent.
A biography of King Henry V by Dan Jones. And unlike Henry IV or Henry VI, but not unlike Henry VIII, Henry V might be known to the general reading public that doesn't really read a lot of history.
Kenneth Branagh did a lovely job.
Right, because of Shakespeare. Because Shakespeare wrote a play, and it's got some corker bits in it. So Laurence Olivier did a great movie version of it, and then Kenneth Branagh did an equally great movie version of it. I went into that movie. I went to see it in the theater, and I thought, well, I sat there, arms crossed, like an old fogey, saying, well, bits and pieces of this might be good, but you're not going to be any Olivier. And it was great. It was every bit as great. And the book is terrific. And I'm not just saying that because we're doing puppies and Skittles this time around. The book is actually terrific. Dan Jones is a very dramatic, very involving writer. Does not write dry history at all. And he never did, but his instinct to write gripping, evocative history has been sharpened by the fact that he's been writing some fiction as well lately. New York Times bestsellers.
Yes.
Writing historical fiction, the Essex Dogs trilogy.
Yes, absolutely. Which has some legs around here.
Yeah, I cannot recommend those books strongly enough. They are dumb. They are dumb in exactly the way that a big weightlifting, goofy teenage boy is dumb. So you recognize all the ways they're dumb, but you can't help but love them.
I've never been accused of any of those things. Big, weightlifting, teenage. No.
His Essex Dogs books, well, let's say they're dumb in the way of a black Labrador Retriever. They're big, they're gainly, they're goofy, but you can't help but love them.
Yeah.
Hand those Essex Dogs and the Wolves of Winter, hand those books to, for instance, a teenage boy that you know who is slowly falling out of love with reading.
Yeah.
Give him those books and that will change.
That's a
but the neat thing about Henry V is that Dan Jones brings all of the artifice of exciting fiction to a biography without lessening anything about it. I mean, he's done the research. He would not want to write a dumb book.
Yeah.
So this actually is something also that you could hand to either a reluctant teenage boy. The teenage boys fall out of love with reading. I think that's largely society's fault. You and I could both do the requisite quoting from Repo Man.
I don't want to read.
I think that's largely society's fault, but there are cures. This is a cure.
Yeah.
This is just a terrific biography. Maybe not quite so sober as some of the other biographies of Henry V that have been out, but really, really good.
Yeah. What, as a reader who may be a complete babe in the woods, like that teenage male you were discussing, what do you need to bring to the table, or is Mr. Jones setting the table really nicely for you?
He sets the table as much as he can. There's sophisticated and complicated intercontinental politics going on here. Henry V, of course, is famous for invading France. And if you'd have told him that, he'd have said, I'm not invading France. I'm repelling invaders of France. I am the king of France. And
so he was a Vladimir Putin type.
Takes a lot to untangle those politics. And Dan Jones does a good job of explaining that. But I would argue, again, my unconventional, slightly heterodox suggestion for people to get up to speed before reading a book like this is to take advantage of Wikipedia.
Absolutely.
Go to the Henry V entry for Wikipedia, read it carefully, follow a lot of the hyperlinks to study up on other subjects until you have a basically globular idea of the basic subject. No one's saying that Wikipedia is scholarship. Don't quote Wikipedia in a college paper.
Bad idea. They'll know.
Definitely consult it
for
getting a grounding in this subject. And then what's the last thing you do once you're done consulting it? Pay them something. Pay them something.
It's the Hitchhiker's,
all day long and give them no money. Pay them.
It's the actual Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
It's the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
And we need to fund them. I mean, come on.
It's about 4% of the people who use Wikipedia actually pay anything for Wikipedia. Don't assume that the other 4% will carry the load. The reason that Wikipedia is so great is because you've got specialists and nerds self-correcting each other all day long, every day.
Absolutely.
That is, it turns out, a remarkable model for generating a self-correcting encyclopedia that is near infinite in its length.
I would like to add, though, I mean, don't pay them until you've done this first. So whatever you have left over, give to Wikipedia.
We have a Patreon here. It now has at least one official video on it that you can only access through Patreon. And all your money goes to the Friends of the Public Library, not to me and my producer.
Not a cent.
Not a cent.
What are we doing here?
No. Public library don't even like us.
No, not too much. No,
they don't even like us.
They're doing that again.
But definitely give this a try, even if you look at it and think, English monarchs with Roman numerals. No, I know that a lot of people think that way, and it's not justified in the case of this book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or in the case of a lot of biographies of Henry VIII as well.
Excellent.
Which is another familiar story. A lot of people know the story, the basic outline of Henry V because they've seen the Branagh movie.
Right.
So take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And maybe you will be hooked.
Yeah, absolutely.
On
That's
reading
great.
nonfiction. Dan Jones has a whole shelf of nonfiction that you could read.
Yeah.
Or you could always move over to his Essex Dogs books, which are great fun.
I want to climb on a plane and read the Essex Dog books. That sounds like great for in-flight reading to me. But
just don't. If you're reading Essex Dogs, don't attempt any of the things that our heroes do in the climactic battle scenes of either book. Because the things they do in those climactic battle scenes are not possible.
Or legal.
Well, no.
We don't want to turn a bunch of kids loose on Washington Avenue here in Cedarburg with swords and that'll be for Tuesday.
It's illegal for you to take a 6-foot broadsword to someone who irritates you. This show wouldn't exist now, would it?
No. Aaron Rodgers picks his nose. Well, that is a glowing recommendation.
Glowing recommendation. Puppies and Kittens Day of Books of the Week.
Kumbaya, my lord. We're doing really good here, man. Let's move on to some fiction for our fiction fans out there.
This is a lovely little book. It's a lovely little book. It's by Susanna Clark. It's called The Wood at Midwinter. And it's about a lovely little girl and her lovely little pets. And she has a lovely little ability to talk to wild animals and even wild things like trees or bushes. And that's what she does for the course of this book. It's something dark. Not really dark. It's more like darksy. Something darksy.
Dark-esque.
In the woods. And all the wild things are telling her about it. And she no sooner hears about it than she does something about it, because this Whittle book is only 60 pages long. So
I was just going to say, it's very narrow. Yes.
It's set roughly in the same world as Clark's Doorstop, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which is great.
Yeah.
And which, I don't know if the library goes in for this sort of thing, but Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell has an absolutely gorgeous anniversary reprint that is out right now or coming out. It's the original hardcover was famously dull looking. It was just a bird on a black background,
right,
or a red background, depending on what dust jacket you got. But this new one is gorgeous. Oh,
you talked me into spending a little tax dollar coin on the Maisie Dobbs reprint. I picked that up for the library because ours was getting a little ratty, and I saw your video about that. Steve has his own channel if you like what's going on here.
Just don't go over there expecting puppies and kittens. I'm controlling myself here at the cost of a hernia, but I don't control myself over there. Over there, I spew bile in all directions, especially at my producer.
Yes. I come up every now and then on that channel, and my lawyers will be in contact with him soon. But no, I think we should actually look into a replacement copy as well for that, because it's a wonderful book. And she's been MIA. There's been nothing in between these two volumes, has there? Or has she done any? I thought this was.
Well, she did Piranesi.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Absolutely wonderful.
Oh, okay.
God, it's only a bit longer than the Wood at Midwinter, but it is so good.
Okay. Have to look into that.
Do you have it in the system?
I'm sure it's in the system. I don't think we have it here on site, so I'll have to look into that as well. Jeff's gonna be spending some money.
It's great. It's imagining the Napoleonic world, a Napoleonic era world of courts and kings and parliaments and whatnot. Only magic exists. Not world conquering magic, maybe, but magic exists, and it's part of that world. And you've got two very different main characters. You're irritated with both of them, but you end up liking both of them in the course of the book.
That's our show.
Yes.
You're irritated with
and it's sprawling. It's a big undertaking. Whereas Piranesi's not set in that world, as far as I know. And it's much shorter and so good. Oh my God.
Wow.
Like a reading experience like nothing you've ever had.
Wonderful. Okay, great.
And The Wood at Midwinter is a lovely twee little thing. You can either read it or you can hang it from your Christmas tree.
We're doing here at the library for our winter reading excursion, we're going to be doing strictly a deep dive into cozy Higa type lifestyle choices. And I feel like the book you're talking about right now shouldn't be at the top of that list. I made to buy extra copies for that very reason.
It's wonderful and warm and accessible and affirming. It's everything we are at Books of the Week.
Well, it's everything we strive to be. So we say.
This is really taking a toll on me.
Well, let me just put this up here so I can get back to
that's what we usually are here in Books of the Week. This is really taking a toll on me, doesn't it? Really?
I actually heard your trust snap on that last one.
At this point, normally at the 20-minute point in the show, Jeff would have been fired a couple of times.
At least.
He would have called for the Vatican to excommunicate at least 2 authors. But we went a little into the sauce last time, so we're trying to recover. Although I just realized, since the wild card episode of the show is completely blind, my producer assembles books to throw at me, and the only reason he can do that is because I'm the only critic in the world who'll have something to say about those books, instead of saying what all the rest of them would say, which is, "Oh, I don't know, that is one of the 10 books I read this year."
Of all the books out there, it's definitely one of them. So...
that section could torpedo our puppies and kittens plan of action here.
What did I do today? Oh yeah, we may have, of the 5, we may have 2 that could go south really quick.
Well, The Wood at Midwinter is also a recommend.
Excellent.
It's a lovely, warm, embracing thing for you to read while the toaster is working on your toast. You're not going to need any longer than that.
No. Well, we normal people might need to cook a turkey instead of toast, Steve. Those of us who devour books at a human rate as opposed to what you do.
Now the question is, can I remain positive through the wild card segment?
You know, this is really going to be interesting because the order in which I throw these at you is going to be extremely crucial. I know how to start. This is great because there's no way.
I yelled at our patrons last time. I yelled at the Cedarburg Public Library patrons. I stuck my nose into the camera and said, "What are you, a lemming?"
I had the friends. Usually the friends like him because he's nice to them all the time. But even last week, the friends were like, did he take the orange pill as opposed to the green one? What happened last episode? So, but there's no way you can say anything negative about this dog because of the cover. It's Dog Day Afternoon from David Rosenfeld, an Andy Carpenter mystery, which has dogs in it.
I haven't read it.
Okay. It's very new.
And I don't have a single negative thing to say about it.
Oh, wait a minute. There's something stuck in your throat.
There is, yes. If you think that a golden retriever can help you solve a murder mystery, if you think a yellow lab is going to be any help to you in any way practical at all,
moral support.
Moral support, yes. Until they see something. It doesn't have to be something shiny, just something. Anything until they see something, and then the moral support goes away because they're gone. They've flounced off somewhere else.
You've never owned a golden, have you?
No, but I know all my babies very well, and I know what golden retrievers do when a big menacing man in a black mask with a visible knife shows up on your porch. You want to know what they do? This. Because the knife's in one hand and the other hand can do belly rubs.
You're my favorite sick killer. Well, Publishers Weekly said it's witty, well-paced, a treat for fans. Really does a series this long-running still feels so fresh.
So this guy has a lot of cozy murder mysteries?
All with dogs. Yeah, it's all the dog. Oh, my God. Steve. He has been
come now. I mean, no. Isn't it wonderful that he's built such a loving community with his fans?
Isn't it nice that his word processing program still works?
I think it's wonderful that he's built such a loving community by writing 250 books for his fans.
I
think
don't
that's
think
wonderful.
someone is going to need to do a wellness check on Steve after today's episode. If you're in the Boston area,
That double-columned list of dog-themed cozy mysteries doesn't adulterate the fabric of Western society at all. Not at all. It's wonderful that he's done this.
he could be driving around in a garbage truck with a reflective vest, so
No,
it could
he
be
drives
worse.
all the way to the bank thanks to the beautiful buckaroos of his
Steve,
wonderful
Steve, look,
fans.
look, no cavities.
I think that's just wonderful. It must be a loving community.
If you've ever watched a human being implode on the internet, you're doing it right now. I'm just wondering. All right, moving on before we get into some serious trouble. Now, maybe you'll like this. I don't know. I leafed through it and I thought maybe it's a very thin version. Every pore of Steve is open right now. I have the Best American Short Stories 2024, edited by Lauren Groff.
Why?
Again?
What things are in the back lists of your library? What things are there?
we get this every year because we have 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17.
Well, this will happen. This will have a great variety. Not all of these short stories will be by the same person.
No.
It's always nice if your guest celebrity editor for a best short stories of the year is able to write good fiction, but and we don't know that Lauren Groff can't do good short fiction. We don't know that. We haven't read her journal. And I'm sure that in the year 2024, which has been rancid with identity politics, virtue signaling, I'm sure that somehow the editors of this volume managed to avoid all that, managed to sidestep it.
It says best. Right there.
So the character in the first story who's foreclosing on mortgages and kicking kittens, he must have a motivation for that, aside from just the color of his skin being white. And I'm sure that the bad guy in the second story who's foreclosing mortgages and kicking kittens, I'm sure that he has a motivation as well that isn't just the whiteness of his skin.
I just realized, Steve, there's for every 8 women, there's one guy. Story-wise, it's a lot of
Best
women.
American Short Stories of 24 has any stories by a man?
We got one. A guy, yeah. Wait a minute. Maybe. Oh, Daniel Mason, a case study. And we have Jim Shepard's Privilege. You know what that's going to be about. I can see how Jim got in now. I've been hanging out with you too long.
Well, I think it's wonderful that you use blatant sexist discrimination to determine the table of contents of your book. After all, women deserve a leg up in the industry. They deserve you to put your thumb on the scale. It's not like all the greatest writers of fiction have been women. It's not like the first writer is a woman. It's not like all of the commissioning editors at every publishing house in the world are women. It's not like all the prizes go to women. It's not like all the scholarships go to women. It's not like all the college admissions go to women. It's not like every publishing house isn't headed by women, edited by women, copy edited by women. It's not like every fiction agent in the Western world isn't a woman. No, it's horrible out there. It's like The Handmaid's Tale. They need all the help they can get. So if you're on the editorial board of the Best American Short Stories of 2024, well, first of all, you'll be a woman, or you're identified as one, because there won't be any men on that board, because we have to resist the patriarchy.
You know who else gets a leg up? Him. He puts a leg up.
Okay, I find it deeply offensive that you consider that the dog on that cover is male.
Oh, the patriarchy even extends to the canine world.
No, Best American Short Stories has to have a written, official, circulated, CC'd editorial policy that they will have 10 women for every man. They have to have that because women need help. They need help in this regard.
You know, all men do is pick their nose and eat it, Steve. That's all men are good for.
If you were to dig up all, there have been, I think, in literary history, a handful of women who wrote. I'm sure there've been a handful of them, and I'm sure that they would say, "Surely, honey, what we need to do, darling, sweetheart, is to tip the scales. We'll put our big thumbs on the scales in your favor." I'm sure that Agatha Christie would not say, "F you, I've got 10 times your sales." I'm sure that all the romance authors in the world out there, I'm sure that Edith effing Wharton and Virginia Woolf would say,
but all those women were controlled by the patriarchy, Steve. They were doing it out of fear. Oh man,
you almost descended into negativity there. No, I think it's good. It's very good. I think it's wise and forgiving on the part of the editorial board that they allowed some men onto the table of contents. That's great.
So the next book is by a man, and I'm very fearful right now.
We can do it. I know we can get to the end of the show. I know we can. I am not going to yell at our patrons.
I'm so scared.
I haven't read this yet.
Help.
I have it, but I haven't read it yet. Is that a large print edition?
Actually, no. It's no, it's volume 1 because Neil Stephenson doesn't do anything small.
Right.
Volume 1 of something called Bomb Light.
Yes. I haven't
read for him.
It's thin for him, probably because it's his 4th book this year, but it's thin for him.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't read it yet. He is a proven figure in the publishing world, and you know what proven figures in the publishing world get in the 21st century that they didn't get in the 20th century, except for one? No editors. Get no editors.
Yes.
You move to the C-suite, which means you get to spew whatever you want. You don't get edited.
Which I don't think they may see that as a version of I've made it. I don't see that as a version of I've made it. Quite the opposite, actually. I mean, I want to be edited. That's why I hang out with you.
He has lots of books, and some of them are very big. Are they popular at the library?
Just among the weirdos. I did not say that.
Well, and also I feel certain that I speak not only for my producer, or maybe former producer, but also for librarians all over the country when I say librarians love the weirdos.
We do. There are people.
We love the ones that come in and get the 10 big books all in one at one time. First of all, libraries couldn't exist without the weirdos, but we love them anyway.
I mean, this guy right here is just, we have a home, Mr. Batgirl, right here on Hanover Avenue in Cedarburg. So that's Neil.
Stephenson has a voice. He has a writing style. If you like it, then any book by him is going to be a cause for celebration.
Yes, certainly. I tried only one, something called, I think, is a Cryptonomicon or whatever, thinking because it was the it book of the hour. Oh, anyway, not my genre, clearly. Anyway, but come on, come all, weirdos. We have a home for you. We'll give you a peck on the cheek and a new Neil Stephenson.
We will. A warm peck on the cheek.
Since we decided to descend into Weirdsville, which is something we did probably like 18 months ago.
No, we're staying positive.
But we're positive in Weirdsville.
Staying positive.
Positive in Weirdsville.
Absolutely a positive thing. It could not have any negative repercussions.
No, certainly not.
Women to control 99% of the publishing industry. What could be wrong with that? What's that you say? That when men controlled 99% of the publishing industry, everybody agreed it was wrong? It's got to be different now. It's different now. It's the right people in control.
Well, maybe they don't, though, because this somehow got out. What the hell is this, Steve? You familiar with this guy, Matt Ginneman?
I am. I have not read this book. What did he write? He wrote a book that I need.
It's. I can't quite figure out what he's up to here. It's very popular, apparently. But he has done, and he's cranking them out really fast. This Dungeon Crawler Carl series. I think it's tongue in cheek.
That's it. That's the one I know him from. Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Yeah, I think there's humor here, and so I'm just wondering,
yes.
what is it?
Yeah, it's very, very much. Okay, how do I? I want to use the word incel. Don't want to use an angry virgin. Word web-footed social outcast. I don't want to say any of those things.
You should not know.
There's a large contingent of people, young men between the ages of 18 and 25, who love gaming.
I have a few of those in my house currently.
Tabletop gaming, multiplayer gaming online, gaming. They love gaming. The tabletop gaming is a wonderful way for them to get together and socialize with other people, including the people who need socializing the most. Online gaming is really, the technology of it is just utterly amazing.
It's pretty wild. Yeah,
I want to give just a brief bit of advice for young men between the ages of 18 and 25 who are engaged in multiplayer online gaming.
Yes.
If anybody in your community for the online gaming asks you to send them pictures of yourself, don't.
Let's not do that. Yes.
The publishing industry has thought, well, what could we tap into that market with books? And they've tried. They have actually lit RPG books, which are fantasy novels deliberately designed to mimic tabletop gaming or role-playing gaming of any kind, online gaming of any kind.
It's not like a choose your own adventure type thing, is it? Or is linear?
Okay. The lit RPG books get close to that. They're figuring, and it's good. It's a good idea. They're figuring these people are they actively love fantasy.
Yes,
they live in a fantasy world. They build fantasy worlds. Surely we could hope
they seldom visit our world, Steve.
I think the kids are all right. Myself, I have no problem with those gamers, and they don't seem diseased to me at all.
No. They're really happy.
Right, they're happy. They're involved. Boy, oh boy, are they mentally aware. I feel certain that this whole thing, the tabletop gaming, the multiplayer gaming, I feel certain that for 99% of that demographic, when the time comes, they're going to shed it like an old carapace. And it's not going to have done them any harm. It's going to have done them only good.
Sure. Yeah.
When the time comes along, I'm referring to as an error when it's actually a person. It's the first fully fleshed out human being female that they meet. That's going to change everything.
Roblox who?
He's not going to move in and say, "Oh, I don't like your friends." They're going to say, "Oh, okay, why am I doing this when I could be watching Evil Dead with her?"
I don't like them either.
No, I don't think there'll be any rejection at all. It will just be a skin that is shed.
Oh, sure.
People have done a lot of good. They will remember how good it feels to be that mentally alive.
Yeah.
Once you feel that way, unless you live in Wisconsin, feel that way, you want to keep feeling that way. I firmly believe that these things will make readers out of people. I don't know that reaching them while they're in that phase is going to work all that well.
I've tried with my son, especially. He's quite the gamer, and I've tried to throw some books at his head, like I'm doing here today. And he ducks and dodges.
The Dungeon Crawler Carl books are terrific. They are terrific fun.
Good to hear.
And this guy, his Dungeon Crawler Carl series is terrific.
Excellent.
And I've known some of those gaming young men who do love those books. I don't imagine that your son would have the time. Isn't he prepping for Dune 3?
This is the other son. Remember, I've got a gaggle. So this is the one who's
this is the one who's more of Jonah Hill.
yes, very much so.
Well, Jonah Hill has a career. So
let me show you a picture of my son here. Let me hang it up. Oh, Zach's gonna kill me when I get home. Anyway,
and keep in mind, remember that the Patreon that we've mentioned, the elite tier of the Patreon gives you a lottery chance to become the next ex Mrs. Messerman.
He's not wrong. Anyway, I believe that tier is
Fairly
$10.
hefty chunk of change, but you're going to get it back in alimony anyways.
I believe that tier is $10.13.
Yeah,
That's
$10. That's not all that much. It's not really that elite.
five of which goes to the ring. So oh Lordy, let's see if we can end big.
We decided that we would be all puppies and kittens, thinking that would keep the show from going off the rails into psychotic surrealism, and it didn't work. We're doing psychotic we're selling your marital bed on Patreon. It took us 45 minutes to get there. Why do people watch the show? Why?
To be fair, that marital bed was for sale long before this show. Anyway, we're gonna end tonight.
Yes.
I say this one thinking this has some hope. It is kind of a cozy, but we'll see how you feel about it. It's translated from German, apparently. Miss Sharp investigates. It's Agnes Sharp and the Trip of a Lifetime from Leonie Swan.
Yes. I actually read this one.
Okay.
It is funny, but not because it tells jokes.
Oh.
It's funny because, again, we don't want to villainize anybody. We love everybody here on Books of the Week. But when you think of cozy murder mysteries, do you think of Germans?
No. No.
When you think of cozy anything, do you think of Germans? Keep in mind, in the German folktales where there's a cozy house, the woman inside it wants to eat your children. So,
and then he removed his lederhosen. Is not particularly alluring.
I don't understand. I've admitted many times on this show, I don't understand the cozy subgenre at all.
Right.
Someone has died. That removes the fun and toasty marshmallows and whatnot out of anything. But
the cozy world.
Let's just say, if I don't understand the cozy world vibe at all, I think I have a lot of company. I think there's a certain country out there that doesn't understand it either.
We are trying, Steve. We are trying. We want to have fun too. Not sure what that accent was. I went somewhere else. But anyway, yes, Agnes Sharp. I like the fact that their cozy heroine is known as like Sharp, which already is kind of German, isn't it? Oh my. Well, so you read it and it was entertaining in its own way.
I don't know. It's a case where I got an e-copy, I read the book, but this is cozy mysteries are a case where I would gladly turn the wheel over to your patrons who love, you say that your library is cozy.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
Gladly turn the wheel over to them to know whether or not it's effective or enjoyable, because something about the whole cozy phenomenon, just the penny hasn't dropped with me yet. I just don't get it yet. I don't want if there's a murder or a series of murders, I want that to be the focus. I don't want scones to be the focus. I want the murder to be the focus.
Beekeeping. There's a lot of beekeeping out there.
Yeah, beekeeping, right. Or a cute little bookstore.
Right.
One person, when I mentioned this on my own BookTube channel, one person rather uncharitably emailed and suggested that the reason I don't like cozy murder mysteries is because the way cozy murder mysteries take the sting out of murder is to have the abrasive, obnoxious person die, and that maybe I don't like that for a murder.
We are both marked men.
I don't know if there's any truth to that.
Death on StreamYard.
Well, 5 cozy murder mysteries that I have read in the last 10 years involve the death of a critic.
Yeah.
The book just assumes they don't even really have to elaborate on the this person kind of deserved to die. They don't even really elaborate on it. They don't make him a white beater or anything. They just say he's
just a critic. I believe it's a subgenre called wish fulfillment, Steve. This book is compared to Richard Osman, who is having a bit of a moment right now. The guy who did that Thursday Murder Club and has a current book that's really skyrocketing.
I was going to say, I'm assuming Osman is hugely popular.
Yes. Yes, and growing rapidly. So, yeah, definitely. Absolutely. But, well, that wasn't exactly negative.
No, not at all.
It was German.
But today has been negative. Nothing has
We would like to interest you all in the Wiener Wrap sandwich sampler. Yes. Something to end on a positive note. My goodness.
been all positive notes. I have behaved myself
He was very good
fairly
today.
well. Like a couple of momentary lapses here and there.
And his one fan is thrilled. It's also liquored up, apparently, but that's okay. Anyway, this has
Perhaps
been.
you could get a beer to the guy in the background.
Oh, no. No. We don't do that here.
Looks like an interest in some tabletop gaming. It's so weird to think because he's probably 100 years old by now.
At least, certainly. He
Like
can
that,
still
whoever
roll on.
that Schlepp is in the Batgirl photo that you have. That person's got to be a wreck by now.
Oh, I think he never left that club. He's still there. It's one of my relatives, actually. No, but anyway, Books of the Week is the show, and we are so thrilled you were here, and we're thrilled you were here to witness Steve have an actual aneurysm on the air. Someone go rub this man's temples.
Yeah, so that I can say, you call that temple rubbing? That's what I want to do. I want all the critic responses, and I can't do it. I'm not promising this for next week. Okay?
We can only.
For the Cedarburg Public Library, better take a careful look at what waiting list you're on.
As Clint Eastwood said, man's got to know his limitations. So there we are. Stop on by Patreon if you would, and bring your spare change. Patreon.com/Books of the Week. All that money goes to a remarkable group called the Friends of the Cedarburg Public Library, who we adore, and they mostly adore us. Maybe as long as
they are all wonderful.
Oh, this is a historic show. We better get the hook, or we're actually gonna cause World War III. I think
The weirdest part of this show is that after 2 years of abusing the Friends, they're probably taking the most offense at that. They're all wonderful. They're probably all on the phone right now saying, "How dare he?"
I think we need to pull this show from the airwaves
I've
as
called
quickly as
them
possible.
hemophilic members of the Romanovs. I've called them presidential assassins. I've called them aliens in trench coats.
True.
That's probably the thing that bothered them. He said they're all wonderful. But how dare he?
I found that utterly offensive in every possible way. There we are. Come back next week, Steve. Off the chain.
We've given you so many reasons to bookmark this channel.
Well, he'll be here anyway, so come on down, join this guy. You could look like this guy if you come down. So there we go. Have a wonderful reading week, everybody. Steve, you have a doubly wonderful reading week, and we will take advantage of it. Adios, everybody. Bye-bye.